quickest you've seen someone fuck up a date? I remember once when I went to this Mexican restaurant that I love, I took multiple men there because it's just a great place to show people, or at least it was before they had to close down because of food health violations. And then by the time they reopened years later, post pandemic, we're still in the pandemic. I say post pandemic, like, recently. There we go, recently, since everyone's acting like COVID doesn't exist anymore. They took down all the fancy decorations, but that's not the important part of the story. The important part is that this one dude I told before a date, hey, just so you know, like he was like, oh, so what are your thoughts on PDA? I said, oh, just so you know, my stance on PDA is that I don't like it unless I really, really get to know someone. Like multiple, like maybe after multiple dates, that's like if it's like a first date, then a peck on the cheek or lips, sure, that works for me, or maybe a hug, but nothing more than that. At best, I could picture like making out in public or like holding each other in each other's arms, but nothing too much. That would be like after 3 dates or something, ideally. And this guy went, cool. Guess what? And that we already discussed that beforehand too. Guess what happened when we actually met up for the date? It took fucking 5 minutes. Like, I remember we were sitting down at this bench, and then they put their arm around me, like, as we just talked for like 2 solid minutes or whatever, where we met up. And I thought, okay, their arm is around me. That's a little much, but like, you know what? I'll let it slide because it's not too much and it's not too bad. I felt them do that slight little titty grab thing, and I thought, you know what? This is kind of, maybe I'm tripping. But then guess what? We full on walked to the Mexican restaurant, and this man grabs my ass hard. Not like a playful, like squishy, squishy, like a full on, like he was trying to like strangle a fucking newborn child level grip. And I just looked at him and I said, yeah, we're done here. And when we were just about to walk into the restaurant too, he didn't even get to like put his fucking arm on the door. He was like, wait, really? I said, yes. I told you what I didn't want done, and you did it. So this date's over. And then I walked away. And then he was like, wait, you don't want, are you sure you don't want to continue? You don't want to continue? I was like, no, no. You fucked this up. I'm going home. He was like, what about giving you a ride home? I could give you a ride home. I could give you, I thought, no, you already showed me the type of person you are in public. I'm not in a closed space with you. And then he just became one of the dudes that for years watched my Instagram story, I guess, like, with the fucking Great Gatsby. Looked all the way across the ocean at Daisy's house, just like, oh, give it to me now, girl, come over this way. He eventually got a new girlfriend, though. I hope their relationship's doing well. It seems to be very cute. I'm happy for them. But yeah, sometimes people make you feel like assholes for setting boundaries, but that's not my fucking fault because they're disrespectful. I'm a very open person. I tell people, and this is why I usually only end things with people if they know there's a set boundary and they cross it extremely fucking hard, knowing it's what I don't want. Like, for example, like the date I had at Lake Tahoe the other day. That was such a sweet date, but towards, like, they already showed signs ahead, like along the way, that maybe they weren't the best person though. Or like, I had to repeat myself several times. Like, they were the type of person where I actually made a long video about this. I'm glad I didn't post it because otherwise they would have seen it and that would have caused even more drama. Sorry, I don't mean to spoil alert what happened, but let me continue on with the pace I'm going at. On the date with the Lake Tahoe guy, like on July 4th, he was very sweet, chivalrous, funny, adorable, handsome. I was like, oh, look at me, I got this fine ass sexy dude. And he's very sweet and very intelligent. But sometimes he was not intelligent. He was one of those people where it's like intelligent in the form of, oh, look, software engineer making cool VR shit, hella awesome. But then not so intelligent in the sense of they could be like, oh, I need to, should we go down this hill and go to the beach? And I said, yeah, I think we should. We've already parked here. We might as well check. And they'll be like, oh, I don't know. What if it's a bad idea? And I said, I mean, it's right there. It's only like, if we could just walk 10 feet down and we'll be able to see if it's a swimmable beach or not. And they kept going like, what do I do? What do I do? Oh, I don't know. This is a bad idea. This is such a bad idea. No, wait. Ooh, And then they kept doing shit like asking me, what should we do? And I would say, walk down. And then they would say, wait, but what if it's too steep? We won't know unless we walk down. Oh, okay, I have an idea. They pulled out their phone. They literally did. It was kind of funny how silly it was. They pulled out their phone, pulled up Google Maps, zoomed in on the blue dot where we were standing. They said, so I'm thinking, we're right here. And then they zoomed into the vague brown area that could be sand or rocks. We don't fucking know. And then they said, and then we walk this way. And then they zoomed in on the blue, the little fucking huge lake. And then it said, so that we can get here. What do you think of that idea? And I said, yeah, we should do that. We're only gonna know if we walk, because how are we gonna know if that's sand or rocks? And but like, you're just repeating what I am saying, and it took like 18 fucking times of me repeating, "Walk down with me," and we won't know unless we try. It's 10 feet away. Let's do it. And for them to finally, eventually, I just had to full on fucking say, "We're gonna walk down. We're doing it," because I was just like, I'm not trying to yell at you, man. You're very sweet. You're incredibly nice. But what the fuck is up with your brain? Stop panicking. Jesus. It's a, like, oh no, we're gonna walk 10 feet. It's not even a steep walk. Oh my, it's like if we walk 10 feet down, we can look and say, oh, it's deep. Oh, it's steep. Oh, there's rocks. Oh, it's dirty. Just, whatever. Anyway. That annoyed me, and then they kind of made it worse because then they were like, okay, I need to go to the car. What should I get at the car? I said, they were like, okay, I should get my phone, and what else should I get? I said, ooh, sunscreen. The sunscreen's in the car. And they said, oh, you said sunscreen? I said, yeah, sunscreen. They said, oh, sunscreen. Is it in your bag? And I say, no. They say, oh, okay. So, what did I need at the car again? I said, sunscreen. They said, oh, sunscreen. Hey, sunscreen. Do you think it's in your bag? And I just stared at them for a few seconds like, are you fucking slow? I wouldn't be asking you to go to the car to get sunscreen if I knew it was in my bag. And it definitely was not in my bag because I had no reason to grab the sunscreen. I hadn't even touched it. It was still very much in the car. And they just, me saying no and shaking my head no multiple times still did not render. And I just stared at them and blinked. And then at some point they just were like, after the 6th time asking and getting an answer but not fucking listening, they just stuck their finger in my bag and said, oh, do you think the sunscreen's in here? I said, no, it is not. It is in the car. And then other things happened. I don't want to relive it because if I do, I'm going to full on have an aneurysm on camera, and I'm trying to avoid that. This video topic is depressing enough for me because it's going to get very depressing. We already know what's going to go. The topic is boundary intrusion, and I have a lot of experience in that department. Fuck. I'm depressed already. Shit. It's 2 o'clock. Anyway, I'll try to make this decently quick. So my date was like has ADHD, but they also were showing signs that maybe not everything up there was clicking either. Just normally, like they just also didn't have a certain level that they were hitting mentally. I don't want to say they were stupid as fuck. But let's just say they panicked very easily and were very anxious at times, and other times they just weren't really thinking at all. And they just so happened to hit a nerve several times that way. But the rest of the date, though, we had a few snafus, but they were sweet. At the end of the day, like, I was half asleep. They took me home, and I don't like letting just everybody know where I'm living and stuff. But, you know, he was like, oh, I can walk you to your door. But before that, he just straight up was like, oh, is there any social media that is like so public that you're okay with sharing with me right now? Like, is there any that's like that? And I thought on it, and I was like, I talk too much on that one. That one I talk even more. This one I talk the most. And that one's private. And I just thought to myself, yeah, I'm sorry, there's not. And then they were like, really? Like, none at all? Like, why? And I just said, oh, because I just don't feel comfortable giving it to you so soon. Like, we're only at the first date, and like some of my topics can get really heavy, and I just have a certain life and personality that I would not like to disclose or have too openly vulnerable, you know? I wouldn't want to, yeah, I just would like things to go at a certain pace. And I explained that perfectly well because, as you can imagine, if you're watching this YouTube video, you probably know what my topics are about. Abusive fucking relationships, fucked up trauma, being a misandrist, but also somehow still having respect and love for men, kind of, sort of, to an extent, regardless of my thoughts on them, because I actually do think that we can be better as a society and as a whole. And topics like my rape experiences, my traumas, my fucked up abusive home life. And I know how people can get when they know that things. If anything, my last relationship definitely showed me that if a man knows what the fuck you went through in the past, they're going to replicate it. Because when I was dating Jarryd and he learned what Morgan did, Like, he just went, I'm gonna use this as a handbook on exactly how to treat Tamia. And then lo and behold, he started doing that same shit too. But then also complaining that a relationship was getting worse. And then I had to leave that man. I'm glad I'm at the point where I don't miss Jarryd, though. I'm very happy about that. So, moving on. I told Lake Top, like, so you can imagine if I want to have a nice relationship with somebody, of any kind, whether it's casual or bigger, I'm gonna have to wait quite some time to see how that person is like before I disclose certain things about myself. You know, because it would be weird to just be like, hey, congratulations, you had one first date with me. You get to learn about my ex being a semi rapist motherfucker, the ex before that being a rapey motherfucker, the ex before that being a lazy, weaponized, incompetent motherfucker that I stayed with too long because of my fear of leaving people and abandonment issues. Some shit niggas don't need to know because they will use that information to fuck you up. And so I just was like, yeah, like I made it clear. But they also, guess what? My date kept asking over and over and trying to like, and they were doing it in a PC way, but even if you use PC language, it doesn't change the fact that you're basically doing what a little kid does of why not? Why? 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 Why not? Over and over and over. Fucking gets on my nerves. So goddamn hard. And I just thought to myself, okay, the fact that they're not letting up, that is kind of like not cool at all. Like they should be letting up. Eventually, the best I did was I was like, okay, I'll give them just this random account I haven't used since like fucking 2016, 2017. And it has like, or at least that was just like some private account from when I was a teenager. Basically, nothing's on it and shit. And I was like, I'll let that be that and go from that. But then guess what? Like 24 hours pass, and I remember I was like, I had such a good time with Devin yesterday that I'm actually kind of depressed over it because it was such a good time. Like, that was such an astoundingly good time. I can't wait to see them again, but I don't want to ask to see them too soon because I still want to savor the moment and not be too clingy or like obsessive or strange. But I had a great time. And I was having mostly good thoughts about them, but I noticed they hadn't responded to me for a few hours or whatever when they said they would be free to meet up at a certain time period. But guess what? I get a notification that someone subscribed to my YouTube channel around like 11:30, 11:35 p.m. July 5th. I'm like, "Oh, what's up with that?" And I look, and then I see like, "Oh, am I tripping?" Or and I see that it's my first date's full legal name. That creeped me out specifically because I never gave them my full legal name. I didn't give them my real phone number. Jesus Christ, you know? And I was just creeped. I don't know if you really can't imagine this feeling. Maybe you're someone who is not a vulnerable woman or whatever, but I don't know. Imagine you go on an impulsive first date with someone to Lake Tahoe because you're like, they seem safe, whatever, whatever. I'll do it. And you already had to convince yourself to go on that date because you're like, okay, they seem like they're not going to be stalkery or human trafficker, or that they're not going to kidnap me or drug me or rape me or anything or do anything bad. And you seem sure of that. And then 24 hours fucking later, you think you get a fucking notification that they found your social media account without knowing your a very hard to find social media account, without knowing your full first name, without knowing your legal name at all. Just, just so that's creepy. And then it's like, oh, that's fucking disgusting. Also, now they have my address. And now I have to tread this very carefully because if this dude's obsessive with me to this extent, he could be capable of anything now. And that's not cool. I don't like to be put in situations like that. Anyway, to sum it up, I just texted Devin and then I was like, hey, did you just subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then I called them, and the first thing they did was get mad at me. Like, they just were like, ugh. Like, I said, hey, so, and they just already were panicking and shit. And I noticed the first thing they did was get aggressive. And they yelled, why did you make a video about that? About, like, the Lake Tahoe video. And it did sound like they were full on actually fucking angry. And I just paused and said, so wait a minute, you're actually the one who's mad at me right now? Is that what's happening? And like they were like, no, 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 and they tried to brush it off and claim that they were just like, they simmered down a bit and tried to be like, oh no, what are you talking about? I wasn't yelling at you. No, I wasn't. No, no, I was just kidding. I don't fucking believe that. And that's also strike number 2 in my book. This is giving me anxiety to even fucking post right now because this creeps me out. But I don't know, it seems like they blocked me on everything, and I like to think that they're not gonna be strange going forward, and it's gonna be better that I document it, because you know what? Fuck it. If my head ends up being on a stick or in someone's freezer, it's like, okay, at least you kind of semi know who the fuck did it. Fucking creepy. And then we talked, and I just thought, you know what, they probably are they already are the panicking type, and we don't know what someone like this might do if they're in a position of being overly angry or vulnerable. So let me just talk to them calmly and understand, because you know what, I've had moments too where I've looked at people's social media and this and that, but I did still feel disrespected because it's like they were told specifically not to do it, specifically not to, and that I didn't give them it. And they did on the phone, like once they realized I was talking to them calmly and wasn't just gonna rage at them, and was if anything curious and maybe even slightly impressed. They just were like, oh, yeah, I know people at the YouTube headquarters, and I'm a software engineer. We do this type of stuff. I work in tech, and bragging. And they were like, oh, well, and they talked about, yeah, I'm a software engineer, work in tech. I went to a hacker party last night because I party with hackers, and there were some people who work at YouTube headquarters there. And I talked about how much of a fun date we had. And then he described how he just like mentioned like one of his friends was really, really curious, and they were like, oh, okay. Out of curiosity, how old is she? Oh, what's her race? Oh, what do you think are some stuff she talks about? And then the friend, as they were talking, was like, hey, is this her? And then my date was like, no, that couldn't be. Oh, it is her. Yeah. And I guess just like fucking Adam and Eve with the apple, they couldn't resist temptation. And then they were like, okay, I guess I'll watch some videos. Now, this is the part where they should have just paused. If they really respected me and wanted to have things going forward, they could have done one of 4 options. They could have not watched any video and just acknowledged, oh, that's the name of her YouTube account. I will do nothing about this going forward. They could have went, oh, I will tell her that I found her YouTube account but that I didn't search for it specifically. And then I will be like, hey, are you still uncomfortable with me watching these videos? Also, no, I haven't watched a single video. Or if they wanted to be nosy, which I suggested, would have been the worst option too in hindsight. Watched videos, but then simply never told me, and then not treated me any different. Actually, no, that would have been a fucking terrible option. How about this? If a lady tells you 8 times, and this is always a bad omen, if I have to tell someone something repeatedly, I just know they either aren't fucking listening to me or they're gonna do some shit anyway. Like every single time. Like just like how I went to a spa recently and I told the woman, oh, just so you know, I have bug bites on my feet, so please, like, you can avoid them. And then she went, ah, and then immediately rubbed fucking lemon salt scrub on my bare open wounds on my feet, and I got searing fucking pain. Wonderful. Hate that bitch. Sorry. On the topic. So yeah, I just and then yeah, they should have just respected that boundary. Anyway, I won't say all of it because this video is long enough, in my opinion. I will say they made me so uncomfortable, and even then, when things mellowed down conversationally, like they got really heated about the Lake Tahoe video, even though in the video I sing their praises. I talk about how good of a date it was, how great it was, how I had a fantastic first time. The only thing I mentioned was how I thought that they were gay. But I also explicitly say in that video, you know what? But if I meet someone who just so happens to know all of my favorite songs and is like super fine ass Colombian guy, and is super cool and super in touch with their emotions and pro women's rights and shit and pro treating them right and stuff, then that's really fucking cool. And I'm super down with that, and that is lovely. And you know what? People say all the time that all the good ones are gay. So if I find one who seems like he's gay but he's not, then consider that a massive fucking win. But they just kind of ignored all that shit and just kind of braided me on the phone on some, I'm not gay to me. I don't know how to. I'm trying not to do their. I'm not trying to impersonate their voice, but it is how their voice sounds. They're like, I'm not gay to me. The only way, like, I'm very in tune with my body, and I'm not gay, and I don't know how to make you believe me. I am very much straight, and I just thought to myself, like, even when they were saying that, I didn't believe it. It's like, and I just had to tell them straight up, okay, it doesn't fucking matter in the grand scheme of things. I still very much like you, was attracted to you, and then I repeated the positives I said in the video, and they were like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And I just thought to myself, that should be strike number 3. I don't like people where they get so angry that even if you say one thing but follow it up with 8 good things, they'll still focus on the one thing, and then you have to repeat the 8 good things repeatedly until they finally like let it sink in. Jarryd showed traits of that, and I fucking hated it. And just that fucking, that was a vile experience. And eventually, I just kind of told them, like, I had to lay it out for them. It's like, oh, so you talked about wanting to that men should protect women and like really work to make them feel safe any way they can, and then your response was that when I specifically explicitly said that I did not want you to have access to my social media because I was not at that comfortable level with you yet, your response was to just do it anyway. And I also said, plus it's weird because I never gave you any real identifiable information on that, and you found that, and it's like, oh look, I had a good date with someone just yesterday, and then not even like a full day later, they found access to some of my most personal content and videos, and are getting mad at me for what they found. That's kind of like the equivalent of a parent going through their kid's locked diary, like fishing the lock off of the diary, opening it up, and then being like, how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you ever say anything bad about me or other people in your life? This is your fault. And it's like, no one asked you to search that up. That's not cool. Also, that's a bad omen that is like a precursor, and it's even worsened because I actually almost did forgive them about it until they said some shit like, I was about to forgive them and they were the worst person in this fucking dilemma. And yet here they were like, ooh, well, I still have to think about how I feel about this. What the fuck do you mean? And so it's like you're putting me in a position where you're acting like you're the one with the cards. I don't like that. I'm just gonna knock the fucking cards over and flip the fucking table. And so I just was like, that really pissed me off the longer I thought about it, because it's like, okay, my transgression was talking about how I had a very lovely date with you. And like one small thing about how I thought you were gay, but how if you say you're not, I'll believe it, mostly. And that they were a great fucking person, and how I loved the date and the energy and how much of a breath of fresh air it was. That was my transgression. Their transgression was, oh yes, right before she left my car last night and I helped her into her house, she explicitly told me in very much detail how she absolutely, positively, 100% did not want me to have access to her social media because it is way too vulnerable and personal, and she would like to have that for herself until she goes on a few more dates with me and gets to know me, and that so we can have a closer bond. I'm gonna say fuck all that shit, get my hacker friends to find it, and then I'm gonna just secretly look at it behind her back and then aggressively confront her as if she did something bad. You gotta be fucking kidding me. So it's like, yeah, that just had me fully like, I'm good, love, enjoy. Like, that pisses me the fuck off. They could have been totally fucking normal. Like, really, it's like if you like someone, ask them out on a date, ask to see them again. And the fucked up thing is, if they had not done that at all, they could have just been like, oh, you found her channel? Interesting. I'm not gonna watch. Hey, Timidity, you want to go on another date tonight? And I probably would have met them up fucking that very night had they not decided, to lurk on my channel for several hours instead to watch videos. Like, why are you watching videos about me when you could go on a date with me and I can naturally tell you about any topics that I've probably spoken about in the videos through nice, cathartic, and romantic conversation? So they chose their choice and they have to live with it. It makes me glum, but I don't know. I just, okay, what the fuck ever. They crossed a boundary and now I have to do that. I don't like people like that. Jarryd is officially out of my life because guess what? Did I tell you about this? My recent ex boyfriend, Jarryd, the piece of shit. Me and Jarryd were still like on semi decent terms, but I could tell he was trying to weasel his way back into my life romantically. He was hoping that after seeing me do like a tearful confession on Pride about how embarrassing it was to still have any lingering feelings for him after all the bad shit he's done to me, like, I still was like, you know what? Like, he came back and he was trying to be all, ooh, like, hey, maybe we could go to this event or that event. If I get my money back, everything's good. We should have everything worked out. As if that nigga fucked. I mean, it's fucked up so bad. And he was trying to seem like we were going to be friends at first. I wasn't texting him that much. He was noticing. But eventually, once I did start texting him more, guess what? Almost every single thing he said to me had to involve him fucking me. Like, I couldn't even say, oh, yes, I got all dressed up for Pride. And then he'd say, yes, I would take you down in that outfit. I bet you wouldn't want a woman after I was done with you. I'd fucking dick you down in that. I'd be like, anyway, uh, and I have this other social event too. It's gonna be amazing, and then he'd find a way to bring up sex or his dick or wanting to fuck me into that. And eventually, I just had to tell him, "Listen, I'm not the same person as before. I'm not comfortable with this type of talk. Like, I know we did that before, but that was a previous version of me, and right now I'm not in the mental state or comfortable enough where I'm okay talking to each other in a sexual manner. Okay, I don't like sexual comments or jokes made like that." And his response, to prove that he was a piece of shit, was to flip out, say I'm a fucking narcissist who sees things through foggy glasses, and that I see him as an evil, terrible bastard man, blah, 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 fuck you, bitch, goodbye forever, blocking you on everything. He obviously unblocked me several times. I like that I can see it in my messages. It'll just go from Instagram user to his actual fucking Instagram name and then switching back and forth between his profile picture and real name and like a blank screen and no post loading and Instagram user, because I'll just see that randomly flick in my DMs. He keeps hoping I'm going to message him again. It's not working out for him. He's a punk ass bitch. And it's like, yeah, dude. And I just kind of, when he was doing that rant, I just sent him a voice message that asserted, I do not need you. You are no longer needed. If you would like to leave, that is fine. I have no room for you right now. And I guess he's salty about that. It's like, okay, nigga, that's not my fucking problem. People will treat you like you're an asshole for boundaries or that you're stupid for certain things. Like, I posted about this incident actually on an app the other night, a vague app where you could like vent about stuff, and some people were like, ooh, well, social media should be like, it's public, so why can't he look at it? It's totally public, it should be counted as public. And I said, and I basically told them, in a normal context, like, sure, if he managed to, like, if we went on a date and I had public social media that was so easy to find and he just wanted to, like, do a little snoop, look at some pictures, look at some small little videos, that would be fine. But it wasn't that. It was him specifically going to his friends at YouTube headquarters and being like, hey, here's her demographic and the topics she likes. Find her for me. And then found them and then went behind my back to watch them after specifically being told 8 fucking times how I would absolutely not want to. Actually, more than 8 times. Endless fucking times I told them how I was not going to feel comfortable showing them my YouTube channel or videos or any of my other social media just because, no thank you, I need to get to know you more. They disrespected that boundary and then they got fucking shitty over it. So it's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I made the right fucking decision, and you are not someone who's a safe person because you chose to act in an unsafe manner. I'm getting better at cutting people off. Because basically with Jarryd, like, I hate to say it, with him, there were several moments where I should have cut him off but didn't. One can blame maybe I needed him to survive a little bit. Maybe I did really like his company and thought, maybe he'll change his ways. Or maybe I could, like, I'll let this one instance slide, but it won't come up again. Nope, because 1 second it was just like, 1 second it was him hearing me say no in the back of his car multiple times, but trying anyway, as much as he could to try to break me, knowing that I was celibate. And knowing that I was not going to fuck him, and trying to see if he could get me to lift up my skirt, or flash my titties, or if he could convince me to fuck him. Like, no. And then that habit didn't stop with Jarryd, sadly. It breadcrumbed along the way. So there are some moments where I hate that it's like, fuck, I hate that I let that slide in, that I thought he was, because then it all built up to, oh, look, turns out that the same dude who's keeping me up between the hours of like 10 p.m. all the way to 8 a.m. and relentlessly asking me for sex and relentlessly trying to force me onto the bed and do sex with me even when I'm saying no, turns out that's the same asshole who couldn't take no for an answer for smaller things before. And that's what I mean. I've actually cursed out multiple dates since then because I don't like it. I'll be like, let me give this guy a chance, and then I'll go on a date with a man. And then they will keep trying to lean in for a kiss, and I back away like, no, thank you. And then they'll keep trying to get as close as possible over and over and over and over. And then, like, it's like, sir, no, you can tell that I don't want to. Why are you trying to force it? You're fucking weird. I could, like, just no. Do you want, like, I've had moments where I would be in the bedroom with a dude, and then next thing you know, I could be like, hey, can you slow down? Also, please stop going so fast. It's hurting my cervix. It'll bruise my cervix. Or, hey, I can't bend my legs that way. It physically hurts. And then, guess what? They would think, I'm sure I could just trick her into doing this anyway, and she won't notice, as if I wouldn't notice what was happening to my own fucking body. And then they'd straight up, like, pretend they wouldn't for a few seconds, then go right back into doing the bad behavior. And then, oh, look, suddenly I'm the bad guy, because I'm laying in bed with a bruised cervix, unable to continue sex for any fucking longer, and they're acting like I'm the bad guy. The whole time they fucked up my boundaries. I take this shit seriously, and honestly, I nip it in the bud. I remember I went on a date with this one guy. I don't remember his fucking name, but funny enough, well, I don't need to mention his race, but I kind of do, just because someone kind of did bring up to me, hey, Tamia, you seem to date a lot of white guys, and I'll have to, anyway, I'm not going to say his race, but he was black, or like half black, half white, autistic dude. I remember we went on a date, and I left within the first, like, 20 minutes of it, because he was so goddamn hostile and selfish and rude. And it's like, okay, you don't, he didn't smile when he saw me. And I was like, okay, well, he's got autism, so maybe he just, but then again, it's like, no, he full on, I've seen him smile before multiple times. He was just choosing not to. I didn't like that energy. Didn't say I looked nice, like, until much later in the evening. He, like, little small things that just were like, I'm not sure this dude is the energy I want. And then several times he got condescending. Like, I had an ID that we tried to get into a bar with, but it was expired, so they said, oh, I can't let you in. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then, but then we could have easily walked to this bar, like, a few feet away, but my date instantly would just decided to, like, try to roast me for the next, like, 3 minutes relentlessly. Like, you had all the time in the world to fix your ID. Why haven't you fixed it? Oh my god, just fix your ID. What are you, lazy? Type shit. I was like, oh, weird. We went to another bar, got a drink. I don't do drink dates, but, like, we were gonna get food too, but he was just such a bad vibe that I wanted to leave. Like, I didn't, like, do you know how bad of a date you have to be that my fucking skinny ass, 20 cents a day ass, just full on was like, you know what, I'm not gonna stay even if you were gonna pay for my fucking burger. And I fucking love burgers. You have to be a real piece of shit for me to leave a date. I hardly leave dates early unless it's extreme disrespect. He kept talking all about himself. Whenever I tried to speak, he would either interrupt me or insult me. And it was just it was awful. And so I just straight up was like, yeah, listen, I'm sorry. I'm not feeling so well, and also I'm not sure I want to continue this date anymore. So I think we could take a walk, and then I can figure out if I want to go home or not. And on the walk, he did a lot of bullshit that was disrespectful. And I basically just told him, I don't like going on dates with people that only talk about themselves and do not ask any questions about me or let me speak. And this nigga really tried to pull the, oh my god, so what? If someone doesn't, like, ask about you on a date or let you talk about yourself or let you talk at all, then suddenly their words have no value to you. Just no value. I thought, what the fuck? And then he even tried to be like, like if you stick with me, I can teach you. I can really teach you because you how to be a good person. I can teach you that people's words have value, even if they don't inherently value yours. And I just thought to myself, this is the most out of pocket way someone is explicitly just like, ooh, I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I don't give a fuck about your life. I don't give a fuck about you. And I will not change whatsoever. And they really thought that tactic was going to work on me. Like, nigga thought he was fucking Christian Bale in American Psycho or some shit. Like, no. I remember we were walking around and I just straight up was like, yeah, no, I like people who are nice to me and listen and have empathy. And then the date ended. And eventually I managed to get back home. And in the evening, I just texted him, like, what the fuck can a man who dresses like he works at Best Buy, unironically, fucking teach me? What can a man who shows up to a date with all of his messy ass hair falling out of his weak ass little man bun, low ponytail, like a fucking founding father teach me? You don't even know how to dress. You don't know how to get pants that fit, shirts that fit, how to not smell like ass, how to do your own fucking hair. You don't know how to take care of that pencil stash you have growing over your top lip, or how to take care of the mouth that's under it. You need to leave my ass the fuck alone. Never in your life treat a woman like that. And I blocked him. And then lo and behold, I actually ran into that dude multiple times, and every single time he's seen me, he's either tried to talk to me or he stared me down with the biggest death stare ever. And I just think, yeah, I did the right thing by choosing to like not let this dude step all over me. Like, I set boundaries and standards, he couldn't reach them, I left. And now he has no access to me. So several times he would just have to see me out in public on dates with other people. It's actually amusing how many times he's seen me on dates with other people. I used to not be very good with my boundaries, and I'm fully standing on them now because I know what will happen if I don't. Like, and I'm finally in a position where it's like, okay, I am safe to do this. I have food at home. I have blankets at home. I have things that I enjoy at home. Like, I don't have to tolerate a man's bullshit. I would rather eat fucking hard ass red beans that I have to soak for a while and some fucking basmati rice and cover it in chicken bouillon powder than I would go on a date with a man who would treat me like shit. Or at least not too many. Unless it's a really nice date. But like, even then, it still counts. Like, don't fucking touch me. Don't talk to me too out of pocket. And then for the really wealthy ones, it's like, you know what? You're disrespectful as fuck, so if you want to see me, you're gonna have to take me on this obnoxiously expensive date or obnoxiously expensive trip. And then don't be shocked if I'm gonna hide in the bathroom during dinner so I can just take a bunch of selfies and not fucking talk to you because you are fucking rude. Yeah, so like I said, I know the consequences that come with like sticking with people who intrude boundaries. If this was any other situation where it was just someone who was like, if they were given my Instagram and wanted to be nosy, or if my Instagram and my YouTube was easily findable and they wanted to be nosy, sure, sure. But it's like you specifically went out of your way to kind of online stalk me. And then like that was already like maybe I could have forgiven that. Maybe. But if I specifically tell you not to do it and I make it clear how much it would mean to me to just have some privacy and respect and to let things go naturally and flow fluidly and just keep it nice, simple, and cute. And then you decide to bring in mess when there does not need to be mess. And then it's like, why were you hostile on the bat and angry at me when I called you? You're the one who has me fucked up. You're the one who's making me feel like you're gonna just fucking show up at my window on some fucked up shit. Like the Night Stalker. You're the one, and then it's just like, they didn't really show any real accountability, very limited remorse. And then on top of that, like, then for them to be all, ooh, I have to figure out if what you did was bad too, and if I want you around. No. You're just gonna have to get the fuck out after that point. Like, you can feel however you feel about the situation, but guess what? If you just specifically went, I know this is private for her and vulnerable information and stuff that she doesn't want me to see, I will just fully not fucking do this. I will fully just like mind my business. We could have been on several dates by now. I probably would have made a few more videos just talking about, wow, my life is all sunshine and daisies and I'm glad that it's going so well. But no, they chose what they chose. Absolute, just the audacity. So much audacity. And lo and like, I don't want to talk too much about Morgan, my ex, because I know it'll depress me, but I guess I will because the topic is what happens when you let boundaries intrude and overlook certain red flags. Morgan would do shit like that. I remember he had this habit where like he liked to it was a long drive from his place to like the bus station or to my place, and he enjoyed that he could just kind of trap me in his car in the passenger seat and intrude on my boundaries on purpose. He thought it was funny. He thought it was amusing. You know, like he had the emotional maturity of like a 4-year old who likes to spray their cat and beat it with a belt for fun. And I hate that, I'm not even kidding. He possibly has some age regression stuff and a mild DDLG kink, but I'll save that topic for another video. It was weird. It led to me definitely moving on a lot faster because it's like, nigga, he was 27, now he's 28. He finally stopped doing some of the shit he's done, but it's like far too late. I still remember him talking in that baby voice, and yeah, I want you don't never underestimate how much I actually physically would love to attack Morgan. He's a terrible man who's done terrible things. Uh, Continuing on, that bitch ass nigga. So, like I said, he liked that he could trap me in his car on the highway, and then he knew what would overstimulate me. He knew that I did not like loud noises, and that if I was about to be stressed out, the best thing a person could do is just be quiet for a few seconds as I organize my thoughts. And that I specifically do not like to be touched if I feel like I'm angry or sad, or that I'm about to like have a panic attack or an episode or be overstimulated. He specifically loved to do the opposite. And I hate that my memory is actually extremely good because when I even say this right now, I remember all the exact sensations and feelings and how every single thing with him went, which is why sometimes when I talk about these topics about my childhood or my relationships, they can fuck me up really bad and maybe even fuck up my mood because it's like I get instantly sucked back into the situation. Mm. It's kind of sad that sometimes, even with these memories, I still go back to a person, but I'm at least grateful that sometimes the memory is sticking so hard. Even if I did have good times again with Jarryd or Morgan or whoever else, the memories and the pain would come flooding back so hard that we'd have a fight and break up again. So, yay. Damn, sucks. But yeah, and Morgan would love to force his hand in between my thighs, or grab my thigh, or grab my shoulder, or grab my wrist, even as he was driving, or try to grab my face or touch random parts of my fucking body, knowing that I don't want to be touched. And no amount of no, please stop, stop it, stop, even full on screaming would not get him to stop. And he would also verbally overstimulate me by being like, hey, 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 talk, hey, hey, what's up, hey, talk, speak, why aren't you speaking, why aren't you talking? And no amount of me saying, I need quiet, I'm trying to think, I need to fuck, and he would purposely do that because if I wasn't able to purposely convey my feelings, then he could demonize me further, or ideally have some sort of extreme emotional response where then he can paint me as the crazy one, or look like the hero by instigating an event that he caused himself. He would instigate some shit like that and then be like, oh my god, oh don't worry, you're fine with me, you're safe with me, and start hugging me or whatever. That's what he liked to do. It has effects on me to this day and I hate it. And so that's so sinister and evil and fucked up. Like, all he knew, all I wanted was peace and a happy relationship with him, and he actually got off on the fact multiple times. I hate that I didn't leave him sooner. I do. I don't know if I regret it or not. Like, some fun memories were had, some good sex was had, and when it did finally end up good after months of it being terrible, it was great. It made me feel like it was almost worth it to deal with some shit, but it's like, no, he just became a different version of a monster. When I dated Morgan, he went from a totally apathetic, no communication, no accountability, selfish motherfucker who enjoyed watching me cry online on my Instagram story about how bad he was treating me and still not treat me good and leading me on, to romantic, amazing, fantastic, everything I could ever wish for in a man. And then he became obsessive, low, while also being low effort, and being more selfish, and being a sex addict, and being more cruel. and being more fucked up and suddenly like changing his mind about certain things that he agreed on. Like he just went from, ooh, I would love to be a protector and provider for you, Tamia, to, oh, actually, I don't think I even want kids. Also, I don't think I would ever want to like pay for a woman's lifestyle and like just for her to like, yeah, I don't think I want that. And getting violent and trying to rape me and the weird DDLG shit. It's like it just transformed him into a different type of monster. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Not cool. But oh well, I can't change what happened. I can just be like, you know? But yeah, oh well. I was in a. I thought he was the best option for me, but he wasn't. Anyway. But yeah, he fucking tried to stomp all over my standards and intrude on my boundaries and treat me like shit. And he tried it multiple times. But don't worry, with moments like this, I like to think about the pleasant memory of him trying to rape me in his house, and how fucked up I felt, and then how I blacked out, and put 2 holes in his wall, and a scar on his back, and a lot of trauma in his brain, so now whenever he was around me after that, because yes, somehow he was around me after that, it's a long story involving money, then let's just say he flinches like fucking shit and is horrified about my potential. But he had every single bit of it coming. Maybe don't try to rape women. Like, I remember specifically that night, I thought, he's not taking no for an answer. He's shoving me on the bed. He's doing, like, fucking false imprisonment type shit, blocking me from the door, forcing me on the bed, getting angry with me, yelling at me, acting like I'm the fucking problem because I don't want to fuck him after finding out he's been trying to secretly message women behind my back, while also nonstop ruining what was a semi-decent fucking thing we had going on by also constantly accusing me of being the one searching for other people. And I just didn't want to fuck him. I straight up told him, like, we could either stay here and play video games, or I can go home. And, like, we don't, like, I'll even take the bus home. I don't care. You don't have to give me a ride if you really are gonna try to keep me here like this. He did what he did. He tried what he tried. And I remember he got so close. He knew I was shaking, sobbing, and crying as his lips got closer to my face. And he was trying to be like, don't worry about it. It's all good. And that, I thought to myself, no. I've been hurt too many fucking times to let this happen again. And I forget what I did. I forget if I said I had to pee so that he would let me up. I don't remember what I said. All I know is I looked in the fucking reflective mirror of his closet, and I could see my vision going in and out, and it was turning black. And I just I remember I felt so much joy kicking that nigga in his chest, in his stomach, in his dick and balls, in his fucking punching him in his eyes, his mouth, slapping, scratching as hard as I could, peeling skin off of his back, biting. I did not care. I was walking the fuck out of that nigga. It was like I got possessed by motherfucking Sharkeisha mixed with Mike Tyson. I would have gone even worse. I gave him mercy that night, and it's so funny because I remember I was like, I'm not gonna hold back. I'm gonna make it extra hard too, just in case he does some more shit in the future, or just fucking in honor of the shit he did to me in the past. Fuck it, let's go. And I just went as hard as I fucking could. And he still didn't feel any remorse about that, what he tried to do to me for what so fucking ever. But I fucking sure taught him, hey, boundaries need to be respected, women need to be respected, and no means no. So if you were saying no and screaming and shit as I was attacking you, then you should understand what the fuck it meant when you were trying to attack me. I would still kick his ass again just for, I would. He better not let me catch him. Yeah, fuck Morgan. Anyway. Yeah. And then just for Jarryd to know about how traumatic that night was for me, and then replicate the same behaviors. I like, one of Jarryd's excuses was, if you didn't want it, you should have just went home. You should have just said no. It's like I said no multiple times. Do you know how many times the dudes I've raped, that have been raped by me? Sorry, shit, pause. That have assaulted me. There we go. Better. have done the whole, you should have just said no. I remember when Scotty Petrushka raped me New Year's Eve when I was 18. Or was I 19? I was 18. I remember he said that shit. I said no. Multiple times. Like, I said it like fucking 9 times, dude. Actually, 19 times and counting. It still didn't stop you from trying to whip out your dick forcefully, grab me by the back of my head, and shove me onto your dick. And then like, getting mad when I forced you away. And he said, "Oh, well, I just didn't hear you. I have hearing issues. You know that." No, because I shook my head. No, I said no quietly. I said it loudly. I was pushing you away. I was shoving you away. No sign was giving. Yes, I should totally fuck Tamia and make her fuck me. Like, he should have just been fucking normal, but he wasn't. And to this day, if anybody wants to kill Scotty Petrushka, go ahead and do it for me. I would love it. I don't care. He's an evil piece of shit. Sorry, I for legal reasons, I let's say I'm kidding. Sure, let's say I'm kidding. He sucks. And Jarryd, yeah, Jarryd tried that shit. And I remember when Jarryd was like, "You could have just taken a bus home." It's like, no, nigga. You know I didn't have my bus card on me. You know there's no place for me to fill up said card. You already know that between our different counties, that's not possible. The bus would have taken me to, at best, Concord fucking station. Like, and even then I'd need a lot of like, that wouldn't work, because it's like that bus line does not run between the hours of like 10 p.m. to fucking 8 a.m. How about, instead of being like, if you really didn't want that, and you really didn't want me to sexually harass you and to keep touching you and molesting you and groping you and trying to fuck you and finger you, and like you should have just left and went home. You know that's not possible, because BART doesn't run during those hours. You know that the bus didn't run during those hours. You know I didn't have the buns. I didn't have my bus card. You knew a lot of things. And to even think that he could pin it on me on some, hey, you could have left at any time. No, I fucking couldn't. Fucking despicable. And it's even worse that it's like, that's actually, I don't think you realize, I'm only just now realizing how sinister that is. You're blaming me for you raping me. Like, you, damn, sorry, that was my stomach. You really went, oh, she got harmed by me, but it's her fault because she didn't want to go on these bus lines and train lines at like 2 a.m. and escape me. Like, and that's actually how sadly it's happened to me several times. I know some evil people are going to be like, okay, I'm going to write this in my book. If you want to force a woman into sex, invite her over under the guise of safety, refuse, and then the implication is she can either be stranded outside in cold weather with no way home, or she will have to eventually put out after I keep forcing her and touching her and making her almost cry, so that then she can forcefully, like, she can eventually let up, so that it's not too traumatic for her. And then it's not rape, even though I basically, every single step of it was rape. Like, for example, if you've looked at that scene in The Wolf of Wall Street, where, like, the Jay character, he gets on top of Margot Robbie's character and basically, like, pins her down and audience inserts himself in, and he tries to claim that the only thing that it's not rape because she consented. No, you were already raping her. She just kind of, like, she couldn't escape, and she didn't say yes either. You just started without her. That's rape, dude. I don't like men. And it's kind of fucked up that my date for Lake Tahoe was like, yeah, men should be safe and protective of women and think about how they feel. And then they went, fuck how Tamia feels. I'm gonna look up her social media that is hard to find using social media hackers and people that work at YouTube headquarters, so that I can find it and have access to it and have all this information on her that she wasn't comfortable giving me. Like, a lot of shit is public information, bitch. Like, I could post your fucking address. Like, actually, I want to respond to some people and be like, hey, here's your fucking address since you thought what he did to me was okay. Oh, I thought since it's public I could do this. Oh, it's not? Oh, interesting. Anyway, yeah, eat my fucking shit. Anyway, yeah, so I'm getting better at setting boundaries, and I hate when people try to make me feel shit over it, but usually the people who try to make you feel shit over it are usually stupid motherfuckers or cruel motherfuckers themselves. And I like to not date those people or have them around in my life. So yeah, peace out.